Hey class, hey, it's Miss Kutzke. So here today we are starting our Investigation 5 lab, ice water and hot water. So we are mixing ice water and hot water. Here I have my hot water. I don't know if you can see the steaming in the camera, if that helps, I don't know. But this is my hot water, and here I have some ice cold water that I have not measured yet. The first direction says to weigh an ice cube in a foam cup and record its mass on the table below. Before we do that, I need to measure and see how many grams this cup is. In one class I measured that it was 1.7 grams, so I brought it to 1.7, and then I'm going to record 1.7 grams is my cup. There's no place to record this actually on your paper, so I'm just writing it on the side here. Next thing that we're going to do is add our ice cubes. So in the directions it says to add 2 ice cubes. These 2 ice cubes, we have to find the mass of. I got some water on the scale. So I'm going to put the ice cubes in, and I have to find what the mass of the cup and the ice cube are combined. So it's less than 20 grams combined. It's greater than 10 grams combined. Okay, so right now I'm just measuring to be exact. That's way too massive. Another cup. Okay, for my ice cubes and my cup, they are exactly 10 grams. So my ice cubes plus my cup are equal to 10 grams. So now you'll have to get out your calculator or do some mental math in your head. 10 grams subtract 1.7 grams is 8.3 grams. So the ice itself is 8.3 grams. And the ice water, so now we have to add water to the ice. So I have to make sure that this goes back to 1.7 and this goes to 60, because I have to measure exactly 60 grams of ice and water combined. That's too massive. Take that off. Okay, and now I'm going to use my ball pipette to measure exactly. One drop at a time. I'm watching the balance move up until it's exact. Can you see it on there? It's almost exact. And now that's too much. Until we have it perfect. So I still need to take about a drop out. All right. I took too much out. Perfect. Okay, so we have the scale zeroed out now at 60 grams of ice and water combined. So our mass of ice and water will be 60 grams. And then we'll set that aside. And now we're trying to create 60 grams of hot water. So you can leave this there because we're still using the same foam cup, and I have the scale set to 60. I'm going to pour 50 milliliters. About, and see how much more I need to add after. It should be about 10 milliliters of water after. So now I need about 10 more milliliters. That's about 9. And now I'm going to use my ball pipette for the rest of the hot water. My water's feeling really hot, so just need a couple more drops. 1, 2. All right, that was quicker that time. So now we have the scale zeroed out. And so we have 60 grams of hot water here and 60 grams of cold water. Taking the temperature of both is the next direction. So I'm going to put the thermometer into the hot water, and I'm going to place the other thermometer into the cold water. I'm going to record my hot water with 60 grams, and then I'm going to find the initial temperature of each before I mix them together. And I can mix them together into a spare foam cup. Or in the directions it says to pour the hot water into the cold water and stir with this craft stick. So the temperature of my hot water is at 58 degrees so far, and the temperature of my cold water is at 4 degrees so far. So here's my cold water thermometer. I can hold that up so you can see it. It's at about 4 degrees. And this one, I don't know if you can see it, but it was at 58, and it started dropping as soon as I took it out. Don't take it out, just leave it in. When you're doing it, record the temperatures. My cold water is now at 3 degrees Celsius. My hot water is now at 56 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to record those two temperatures. 56 degrees Celsius for my hot water. It's rising to 57. I have to change that. And (3 degrees Celsius for my cold water. Now, in our last experiment, we learned that if we mix hot and cold water together, we should get a medium temperature. If we take the average of the two temperatures, it should be exactly in the middle, correct? So if I were to add 3 plus 57, I get 60. So I can predict that it's going to be 30 degrees Celsius, because I take 3 plus 57 and divide by 2. 60 divided by 2 is 30 degrees Celsius. I'm going to mix the two together now. I'm going to pour the hot water into the cold water. I'm going to stir. Meanwhile, the particles are colliding, the energy is transferring, and then I'm going to place my two thermometers into our mixture. So our prediction was that it would be 30 degrees Celsius, right in between, and right now both thermometers are reading 25 degrees Celsius. So write 25 degrees Celsius for your final. And what is the change in temperature? Well, 3 degrees Celsius to 25. 25 minus 3 is 22 degrees Celsius. And final, 25 minus 57 ends up being 25 plus 7, negative 32 degrees Celsius for your change in temperature for the hot water. So now let's calculate calories.